Hey guys, it's Yorkie here and welcome to the channel for what is a review video of the Moza ES Formula wheel mod that you can see here in my hands. That is a mod for the Moza ES steering wheel. Now, just quickly before we get into the main part of this video, I do want to put a disclaimer out there in that Moza did send me this product for free at no cost to myself to test and also review and produce this video here. With that, they haven't paid me any sponsorship money or anything like that, nor have they had any involvement in the editing process here for this video and influenced any of my thoughts and opinions here in this review. Now, I am affiliated with Moza, and if you do want to support myself and you want to potentially look and purchase some Moza products, there is an affiliate link down in the description below where clicking on that will give me a small commission each time that you purchase a Moza product using that link, and that support would be very, very much appreciated. So let's actually move on to the main part of this review for this ES Formula wheel mod that you can see held here in my hands. As previously mentioned, it is designed specifically for the Moza ES steering wheel and is therefore exactly the same size at 280mm in diameter. The body is constructed with 4mm thick aviation grade aluminium alloy here in the centre, and then on the outside we've got some injection moulded TPU rubber grips. More to come on those things later. The current pricing as it stands at the moment on the Moza Racing website here in the UK is £37, that is VAT excluded. Prices may differ depending on your region that you are currently located in. Now, as this Formula rim is actually a wheel mod and not a fully integrated wheel rim with all the buttons and everything as you can see here, it does actually require you to swap this ES steering wheel over for this wheel mod. Now, the installation of this is actually very, very simple. The first very obvious step is to take the ES steering wheel off of your Moza wheelbase via the quick release system. On the back, you will find 3 screws in the back of the 3 arms on the steering wheel. Undo and remove these. You will then need to flip the wheel over and you shall see 6 screws mounted here on the front, just around the center of the face, where you can use an Allen key to unscrew these. Once they are removed, be very careful as not to drop the quick release system out the back, as this will let it fall away free and it is only held by a cable to the internals, and obviously you don't want to damage anything here, so it's best to be doing this on a flat, even surface. But remove the ES steering wheel rim away. Make sure that the little spring that is there on the inside stays intact inside its little slot that is sat in. You then take the ES Formula wheel mod, align it with the buttons and place it back on top with the spring, and then take the 6 screws with the Allen key and screw them back in. Then, once you've done that, hey presto, you've got yourself the ES Formula wheel mod on the ES button box, as it were. You don't need to worry about the 3 screws that we originally undid to take off this ES wheel mount here. There is no screw holes to screw them back into. So it is literally just the 6 screws with the Allen key here on the front is what you need to worry about. But once you've done that, it functions and works in exactly the same way. You've got the pedals on the back there and then all the buttons and everything else work. You've literally just got a different handhold grip to do your steering with. Aesthetically, I think it's a substantial improvement over the standard rim. I mean, I quite like the standard rim previously, mainly because of the flat bottom. It's very reminiscent and styled to be like a high-performance street car, whereas this rim is a lot more race-like, as you can guess by the name. Kind of Formula style, lower level prototypes, and then also modern day GT3s have kind of gone in this direction. And in fact, this rim looks very, very similar to the Mercedes AMG GT3 steering wheel that you tend to find in those cars and in the various sims such as Asthetics, Corsa Competizione and iRacing and all the others that feature the car. But yeah, I really do like it. It's a very good size, 280mm, exactly the same size as the standard ES steering wheel as mentioned previously. The TPU rubber grips. Now these are quite interesting. These are a very good size. They are very, very stiff. There isn't much, if anything at all, any sort of give in them when you kind of really push on them. There is a very slight seam that you can kind of see down along the side there, which if you are moving your hand back and forth over the rim, over the grips an awful lot, you will notice. But once you actually kind of get driving and you kind of got a very solid and fairly firm grip and your hands aren't really moving too much, you don't really tend to notice it. So that's fairly good and great to hear and also experience. But yeah, this TPU rubber is very, very interesting, as it is it's non-slip, as designed to be sweat resistant as well. And I kind of found that interesting, as I've done an awful lot of sim racing wearing gloves, and it's what I started off doing when I first got this rim. But what I was finding was when I was wearing the gloves, I was actually having less grip than I would with no gloves. With the gloves, my hands were sliding around a little bit, and at times I didn't feel like I was fully in control of the car and of the wheel, because my hands were kind of slipping as I was turning through the corners. Whereas without gloves, this works an absolute treat, and you've got loads and loads of grip. As it says, it is sweat resistant, which was a surprise. I did 5 hours of straight driving in the recent iRacing Nürburgring 24 hours, and during those 5 hours of straight driving, had absolutely no issues whatsoever. I didn't feel any degradation in terms of the grip over that time, even though my hands were getting a little bit sweaty, but it wasn't really transferring here onto the wheel rim, and it wasn't affecting the grip during that stint. So that is a really, really big plus, and I've really got to commend Moza on that achievement, because going from driving with gloves usually just to get a little bit more grip to not needing gloves at all is definitely a big, big plus, because not everybody drives with gloves. Now, the next big positive that I want to talk about with this steering wheel mod is its weight. Without the actual button box here in the middle, just the rim itself, it comes in weighing at 505 grams. Now, the previous ES steering wheel, just the rim without the button box, I weighed that and it comes in at 735 grams, which makes a 230 gram difference between the two in overall weight. Obviously, having the button box here does add some weight back on, but that 230 gram weight difference is still there, and you can certainly notice it as well. Because it is that much lighter, the steering feels a lot sharper, quicker and more responsive. Obviously, there's a lot less weight kind of dampening the effects of the steering wheel. So generally the overall responsiveness whilst driving and kind of making those small quick corrections, especially with correcting a little bit of oversteer and kind of being a little bit more snappy and aggressive with the wheel, can be done very, very quickly with great precision as well. And because there is generally less weight, you also tend to feel quite a bit more clarity coming through the force feedback. Obviously there's less weight there to dampen the force feedback effects, so it generally feels a little bit stronger, and you can feel a little bit more detail without actually changing any other settings whilst swapping between the two rims. Literally all the settings are exactly the same, just different real rims, different weights, and there is a reasonably noticeable difference between the two. It's definitely a positive, really, really enjoyable experience, and obviously with the shape of the real rim and where your hands are kind of fixed to that 9 and 3 position, obviously it's set up more optimally for racing on a circuit in a proper race car, and the immersion from that you gain is pretty good as well. It feels a lot better to drive with modern day GT cars, prototypes and Formula cars compared to the standard ES steering wheel as well. So all in all, that is a big positive there, just coming from a 230 grams weight difference. So the last thing that we need to talk about is price, and obviously everything that we're talking about price wise here is VAT and shipping excluded. And for the actual Formula wheel mod itself, that is £37 on the UK Moza website, as previously mentioned. Now obviously you're going to need the ES steering wheel in order to accommodate for this wheel mod, and the ES steering wheel is currently priced at £129 on the Moza website in the UK. So for £167 you are getting an ES steering wheel with two different rims. You've got obviously the fully circular one that comes as standard, and then the additional £37 to bring it up to 167 for the actual Formula wheel mod, which to me is an absolute bargain. There's not really anything else on the market. Most wheel rims to kind of get Formula style, you're looking at least double the price of that. The only real competitor I think is Thrustmaster, where you got the Ferrari F1 wheel add-on that's kind of about £180 currently in the UK, and then the TM open wheel add-on, which is currently kind of retailed at £140. So it's kind of sat somewhere between the two, but obviously you're then getting two wheel rims for that 167 odd pounds, and it's great for someone like me who does an awful lot of track racing on Asthetics and also iRacing. This is the main wheel that I am now using. And then every now and then I do a little bit of rallying and I can swap to the other real rim, because you cannot rally or drift with this real rim. Obviously, with the grips there being at the 3 and 9 position, once you start turning over 180 degrees, you've got nothing to hold on to. So if you're having to kind of swap hands, it doesn't really work. And obviously with the force feedback coming through the direct drive, it's quite easy to injure yourself as well. So for drifting and rallying, I definitely recommend having a circular rim. But for track racing, this is absolutely bang on and a fantastic piece of kit. I really do have to praise Moza for coming up with creative and cost-effective solutions for getting a Formula style wheel rim such as this out onto the market fairly cheaply and to a fairly good number of customers. As obviously the Moza R5 bundle being their cheapest direct drive bundle that's probably out there, it is definitely a very, very nice add-on that does add an awful lot to the overall experience in terms of immersion, being able to feel more through the force feedback and getting generally a lot more enjoyment. So overall, would I recommend the ES Formula Wheel mod? Yes, I definitely would. I think it's an absolute bargain at £37 here in the UK, and it just elevates the overall experience. Moza are certainly listening to their customers and listening to the community, taking on board their feedback and doing a very, very good job of providing various different solutions to their customers at very good, effective, cost-effective prices. So yeah, would definitely recommend it and put it on your wish list. Other than that, I've got nothing else to say. So that is going to be this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like. If you've got any comments or questions about the ES Formula wheel mod from Moza Racing, please do leave them down in the comment section below. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. It would be very much appreciated. And hopefully I shall see you in the next video. But until then, have fun, stay safe, and take care.